Yeah, a lot of my work is inspired by the forces of nature and really celebrates that wonderment in nature and the phenomena of it. But it also, I want to make people kind of aware of an appreciation of some of these greater things that we don't have control of. And so, having visited SOAR for many, many years, I always love watching the sunset come up here. So I've watched the sunset come up at the top of the hill. I've always been fascinated by the sky and the things that happen in the sky. As a child, watching clouds and trying to make animals, and then at night time still looking for shooting stars and dreaming and wishing upon the shooting star. So those kinds of inspiration and that research led to wanting to make a piece that celebrated the night sky, but also the rising sun. Location to me is always important, but at different levels. So you can have a location that is important, like how a static sculpture fits within a space. But in this case, with Starry Starry Night, the location really was a collaboration with the location. The location was very important because the shape of the land was able to address the idea of something being below land, like the mechanization of the earth, the star factory, as I like to call it, was below the horizon line, almost in a cave or some kind of Dante's Inferno. And then at the top of the hill, you have a more sort of ethereal space, where the stars were carried up to the top of the hill and planted as the night stars were extinguished as the sun came up. So that location really helped facilitate the concept behind the piece. And we did it at 5 o'clock in the morning. So time as well as location is very important to the work. I love working with other people. I don't like to have, as I say, rules, because I like to break all the rules. So I don't expect people to follow my rules. But what I like to do is to provide like a platform that everybody has their role. So it might be that someone's really good or interested or excited about a certain component within the performance. I hope that I provide a platform for them to be able to pursue their own enjoyment of it. So there's a rough kind of choreography to a performance, to a molten iron performance, because you have the danger of working with the molten iron, so you've got all these technical, practical things that you have to figure out. But then you don't want it all to be just about the technical and the practical, you want it to be about the magical as well. And so there's a lot of communication with every participant within the performance. And then when the performance starts, hopefully it just has a natural flow because there aren't any rules that people have to remember. They just embrace being in that moment. That's a really good question. I've always loved drama, but when I went to art school or decided or discovered that I was going to be an artist and that was it, I considered doing theatre and theatre design. But that actually has too many rules to it. So I went into sculpture. So I think there's always been an element of me that likes to do something bigger than myself. And so doing performance and iron pouring in itself, to me, is a spectacle a lot of times. It's just an excellent vehicle to explore engaging people in a different way. So I've got, really two sort of distinct areas of my practice. And one is the iron pour performative things that I've been developing, and then there's the more static sculptures. But it's taken a while for the performances to become more than just the performance. Like with Starry Starry Night, I think I've reached a point where the end result, the artifact, if you like, is also interesting and is a sculpture, a static sculpture in itself. But one thing as well about the performance, it really came about when I really started working with iron as well, to capture that moment from the liquid to the solid, and to do something with that sort of ephemeral moment. In 1996, I went to the University of Minnesota as a research fellow in foundry because I wanted to really research alternative methods, alternative mold making. I wanted to demystify the process of casting bronze and iron, and just demystify that process of just pressing a button and then you get the molten metal. I wasn't interested in creating an object at that time. So when I went there and worked with Wayne Potratz, that's when I learned more about the history of foundry and the history of ritual to do with metal casting. The analogy of pumping the bellows, but really you're breathing life into something, and that's part of the transformation. So the metal is a spirit. It is from the earth, it is from the core of the earth, it is from the deepest, darkest skies in the form of meteorites. So it's a very elemental material, and it seemed to honour the richness of that material. To do performance with it seemed to be a natural fit.